Welcome back, everybody, guys. Today is a special freaking episode because we have Rob that is two particular things. He's a freaking amazing trader, 35 times champion in trading competitions, and as well the owner and the CEO of WealthCharts. So first, I'm going to let you present yourself a little bit more, Rob, and welcome to my channel.
Hamza, it's great to be here, and welcome to all of Hamza's friends and family. I've watched Hamza's videos for quite some time here, and I love how he's always being very honest with you. He shares with you what he's doing well, what he's not doing well, and what the strategies are that he's focusing on. So it's hard to find that kind of integrity these days, and so I really think that's great. And then as far as me, yeah, I'm Rob Hoffman. I'm just a guy. I've got a lovely wife and 2 kids at home, and I have WealthCharts and other companies in the financial and trading space, and I'm very passionate about trading. I've been trading for decades, and we'll probably look at some screens in a few minutes, but I have won a lot of these real money trading competitions around the world, and I'm hoping through this process, even though I know we're going to talk a little bit about WealthCharts and that too, but hopefully we'll talk about strategy today as well, and some of my perspectives in the real world, because it's going to be important, as a lot of you are going to be focusing on transitioning from prop and sim to real money trading, with a lot of the new rules and the announcements that have come out recently. So hopefully I can help you on that journey.
Yeah, definitely it's gonna be an interesting video, guys, here, because Rob is gonna share some beautiful points that he's using with his platform, and I'm sure you're gonna gain a lot of value from it. I gain a lot of value from it. I'm already using WealthChart as well to help me in my trading, and I'm sure you're gonna gain as well, because he's gonna do some great screen sharing about the platform and some, things that he knows better than us, being the owner of the platform, and much more, and being a very good trader. So first of all, the first question is, won different competitions. What is the biggest shift mindset?
Yeah, and a couple things I just want to share. I'm not a registered financial representative. I'm not, a portfolio manager. I don't manage other people's money for them. I'm an independent trader and an entrepreneur, like so many of you. Some of you own other businesses. You have other activities in your life that you do, and then of course you have a passion like we do for trading. So I just want to let you know, I'm not going to give anybody individual advice. I'll tell you what I'm doing for myself and what I'm focusing on. Let's just focus on the basics today, because if you focus every day on how much money you're going to make, I need to make $500 a day or $1,000 a day or $2,000 a day, it can really get you in a bad spot. We're actually going to talk about that right now. It kind of segues actually into your question, Hamza, into that biggest mind shift is patience. And maybe if I can share the screen, actually, I think it would actually tie in really well with what I was going to share. And I apologize, when I'm looking at the main screen here, I'll have to look away from the camera. I'm very sorry about that. I usually am more of a private guy behind the scenes. And when I do public speaking events, I'm live in front of the audiences and things like that, like I was in Europe there a week and a half ago. So, forgive me, but have to get some of those young guys in my office to set all the fancy cameras up. But as we go in, we look here. So if let me just make sure I'm sharing my screen here. Let's do that. And so, this is kind of, these are the trading competitions that I've won. These are real money trading competitions around the world. Used to do a lot of domestic ones as well as international ones, but now with me running a big international trading show as well, the Wealth 365 Summits, I don't really focus on those domestic ones anymore. I focus more on the international ones, and they're pretty cool and bigger ones anyways. So these are the competitions, and these are the 2 that I just won here a week and a half ago over in Italy. And being in Europe was wonderful, and be with a wonderful audience. Now, the reason why I want to share this is patience. Patience, to answer your question, Hamza, is the biggest thing. So I go to these competitions, and what happens is, sometimes these guys will be like, there's like 16 of us sometimes, lined up on these things representing their countries around the world. You can see some of the different flags there and that. And, so they'll say, so-and-so is doing this, so-and-so is doing that, so-and-so is up this much money, so-and-so is doing that, so-and-so is doing this. And then it's like, and Rob Hoffman's flat. And then it's like they come back a few minutes later. No, this is true story. This is true story. One of these events, I wonder, we'll see one of these events where it happened. But what happens is, so you see these, it's a high pressure situation. You've got hundreds of people out in the audiences. You're lined up with all these other traders from around the world. You got these judges, because like in some of these competitions, they got to record every trade that you do on a whiteboard. The judges, referees come over and verify the trades. In some of these competitions, you got to show you traded with real money. They validate that. And then other ones, they just at the beginning of the show, they validate your account numbers, your trades, all those different types of things. But what happens is the referees and the head, like this guy was one of the head referees that particular year. This gentleman here was, and this gentleman. So every year it's different referees and the head announcers and things of that nature. But what happens is, so they'll give updates. Hey, this trader's doing this. This trader's doing this. Rob Hoffman's flat. This trader's doing this. This trader, and Rob Hoffman's still flat. And this happened where then all of a sudden it got to the point where they'd ask like 4 or 5 times, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that, so-and-so, and Rob Hoffman is still flat. And like you could hear people in the audience laughing, right? Patience, waiting for the right trade at the right time for the right reasons is really, a key difference for me. What I realize is, if I just trade after everything that moves, I'm no different than everybody else. And so, like, here a few weeks ago, a week and a half ago in Europe there, some of the people were making some very good gains and they were ahead of me and I was flat. And it's like, I got to stick to my rules. I got to stick to my rules. My wife and kids, and we're in the room. So here's the pictures, like the judges. This was from another competition previous year, where the judges come up, validate. Meanwhile, you're trying to teach during these trading competitions as well. They're asking questions. This was actually just here a week and a half ago over in Italy. So I'm answering questions. And, but what happens is, let's see if I can find a picture. Oh, this is me looking intently. So, right, I'm like just looking you can see, I'm very aggressively looking, like I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. That particular day, I wonder if I could show a screen. Here we go. So what was happening that day, and this kind of ties in a lot of things together. The daily chart was up, the hourly chart was down. That is a strategy. Yeah. And so that's 2 institutional levels going against each other. And so I call that strategy mom and dad fighting. Now I'm going to let everybody in the audience figure out who's mom and who's dad. You guys decide. What happens when mom and dad fight? The kids go run in the corner. Get out of the way. We don't want anything to do with that. At least in my household, when I was growing up, just stay away. Just go away.
Yeah, just hide.
Right. And so what happens when that kind of situation happens, when you're caught between 2 forces, resistance and support, you're going to expect a lot of whipsaws and what I call a kill zone, whipping back and forth, back and forth. So you could see on the intraday basis here, we were whipping. See? And so I was waiting for the right trades. And, meanwhile, we had traders that were trading Bitcoin, traders that were trading large scale equities in smaller price stocks. We had futures traders. There's a little bit of everything going on there. And, a lot of people were trade. And, they were doing, good jobs. Some of them, so they have some back steps. Other times they'd have, good gains. But I had to wait. Patience is such a key. I spent so much time on this answer for you, Hamza, because a lot of people, if they just how many of you have ever had a trade? I'm talking all of you that watch this video, whether it's 1 minute or 1 year after this, because this is timely information, no matter when you watch it. But how many of you have ever had a trade where you were right on the trade, but then you took the trade went against you, stopped you out, only to go right back the original direction you intended. And so what I focus on, and I have a whole strategy around that, like with WealthCharts, called the resumption trade, where we let it push up, pull back, and then start to resume, and we look for that trade. So that's what I was looking for during that competition. I had to wait. So what I had to do sometimes, Hamza, was wait for it to push up first, pull back, and then start to resume again. And so patience. If I would have taken those trades a little bit earlier, like right here, would have just pulled back a little bit, it had a big whoosh down, I would have lost money only to watch it go right back up without me. So patience is such a critical strategy in this whole process. And that's one of the things I've learned. And literally, I've been publicly embarrassed, in these big forums. There was one competition where it was a huge, massive, crowd, and they were like all around me, behind me, and all in the front, huge audience event there. And you could just hear people laughing because it'd be like, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so, and Rob Hoffman still flat. But you know what? All of a sudden, out of the blue, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing this, and Rob Hoffman's in first place.
Yeah, that was I wanted to like because we only said about patience, and you honestly how you went around here to explain it, it's amazing because there are so many ways to explain patience in trading. This is the first time I see it in a way of like a competition wise, because you have so much pressure, like hearing this this audience saying this guy is taking 5 trades, this guy is up this amount, this guy is up this amount, is putting you pressure on yourself.
Yeah, it is. Well, and also, of course, everybody wants, they travel from, wherever they are around the world. And, everybody wants that coveted first place. This was the organizer of the entire event, on that Friday evening going in, giving me the first place award, but the thing is, this is my daughter, Mackenzie, and my son, Logan, and they sit there in the audience and watch me. I'm a role model for them, and when my daughter went to school, she went to school dressed up in a WealthChart shirt because she's like, well, someday I want to take over dad's company. So, they watch me, and, so, I'm a role model for them. So what am I going to do if I just do something silly, trying to win a competition, and break the rules? Well, then of course, am I really successful for the long term? And that's why that word profitability is all subjective. We see people, Hamza, you see people all the time. They're profitable today, not profitable the next day. They just go from up to down, up to down. And we want to try to get more consistent to smooth out that equity curve for longer term success, especially when people are talking about real money. So patience is the answer. And I know it may not be a sexy answer, but it's a good answer. It's a meaningful answer that I hope a lot of people, and I think a lot of people that have been in this business long enough, that have experienced that chasing a trade only to stop you out and go right back your way, can appreciate in the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think most of the traders that at least have spent time watching a chart, they definitely understand that this is a key factor. And I understand it right now because I'm going through a period right now where I'm not patient at all. And I'm taking some trades. And after a while where I have like a rules of maximum number of trades per day, I'm like, I should have waited. This was a much better signal. And I forced myself on a horrible trade just because I was getting some FOMO and fear of missing this trade and impatience moment. So this moment I'm like, yes, Hamza, soak it all of it, because tomorrow is you have to get in that and be patient on your trade, because you're not competing with anyone. You're just competing with yourself, and take time for it.
Well, and in your case, you're doing those wonderful broadcasts all the time. There's a certain pressure like that, just like me when I was sitting in front of these huge audiences, and at times they would stop and ask me questions. So you saw it, get up in front of the screen. I said, "This is what I'm waiting for, gang. I'm waiting for this to happen. This is a problem right now." And then people would see, okay, yeah, he's right. Look, it came right back down the opposite way. Whoa, good thing he didn't take that trade. But for you, you're doing this incredible broadcast each day where people are coming to watch you. there's a sense of pressure. I'm sure you feel like, well, people have been watching me now for an hour. I feel like I got to do something. Otherwise, they've just wasted their time. Even though in the real world, they haven't just wasted their time. If you've shown them valuable places where not to get into trades, because it's not just the money we make, it's the money we keep. And that means we need to smooth out that equity curve. And that means some of those trades that were just high risk, low probability, we need to stop taking those trades. So, what a lot of people find, if they just take a handful of their bad trades out, it's amazing how their equity curve increases so quickly when they just take out a handful of bad trades that drag down that equity curve. And so my goal is, with trying to get focused on patience, I know we'll talk about strategies as we go along as well, but my goal is to get people to focus. It's harder when people are trading on evaluations and they're trading on PA, because, well, it's not real money, it's not real investment. It's and whereas with real money, it's a whole different ballgame. Whether you're trading real money for the prop firm or you're trading real money for yourself, now suddenly all those psychological things that a lot of people haven't had to deal with up until now, because they could just ring a casino and get a
Yeah.
90% off or 80% off and just go buy a whole bunch more evaluation accounts. Well, that's not how it works with a real money account. And so I'm trying to get people to focus as if they were real money from day one. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. That's what I always push to people, is that to treat your evaluation, your funded account, as your own personal money. Because let's say one day everything, prop firms disappears, everything disappears. Next day you are there by yourself with your own money. How you're gonna trade? Are you gonna still YOLOing and use a roulette to trade, or are you gonna be a consistent trader that you have gained over the time with evaluation and funded account, getting payouts over and over? So that is something I always try to preach people, is like, be real with your funded accounts. It's money you're spending for the activation fee. Be real with it as well. In one side, you're gaining, and on the another side, Apex itself is looking for people like this: risk management people, patience people, people that do not blow up accounts over and over, because that's the real trading. It's like real money, like you do with your competition. And just to connect on that, I saw in your picture there before, I was like, yo, you 14 years of competition. 2011 was your first one, and 2025 is your last, is your last one. And just to connect on this, when the idea and why as well you came with WealthChart?
Yeah, well, so WealthCharts was really meant to be two things. Number one, for my student family that I've taught and trained over the years, I've spoken at a lot of shows all over the world, and I met some incredible people with very terrible family stories, life stories, lost a lot, trying to rebuild, health issues, and couldn't work in the regular workplace. Everybody's got different stories about where they're at in life, what brought them to trading, and for some it's just intellectual challenge and wanting to pass it on to their children. Other people, it's terrible, sad stories in the past, and I've seen all these people over the years, and so I started learning the markets when I was a teenager. I didn't have money to trade, but I started learning the markets. And so the thing about that is that I really want to build WealthCharts because I've been using charting platforms since the 90s, the late 90s in particular. I was even developing indicators and things of that nature, and just none of them were quite right. And so I wanted WealthCharts for two reasons. Number one is a legacy play for my children. I showed you, Logan and Mackenzie there coming to me, my trading competitions, being a part of WealthCharts. Sometimes my daughter will come in after school, and she'll come over to the office, and she'll walk up and down the aisles, and she'll talk to all the staff members. And sometimes she'll walk up to some of them and be like, "Hey, are you doing everything you're supposed to be doing right now?" she's the girl boss, right? And now she does it in a great spirit and does it in a funny way. Everybody laughs and stuff, but at the same time, she's like, she looks at it that way. It's like, hey, this is my company in the future, and so there's that side. So it's the legacy for my family. My dad died at a very early age, and I was just a young struggling guy, and I went ahead, and I don't want to have that legacy for my children. I want them to have something special. And Wealth Charts kind of encompasses me, my strategies, all the education I've done for dozens of years. And so it's kind of a legacy play there, and then also meant to be, kind of that guide. And there's training courses and that, even for me, in there for people that are looking to get into the active trader and investor space. We have education from me and some other well-known people in the financial industry that people can kind of take a look at and try to learn some those key thoughts and strategies from people. So I think the key word across the board there, Hamza, to answer the question, but I wanted you to understand a little bit more of the background, is legacy. Both for my family and also for my student family.
Yeah, because one factor I've seen with your platform that is not just, many times we go to platforms like NinjaTrader or Quantower. What I've seen in your platform is that not only is a charting one, but as well is a lot an educational one.
Yeah, as far as the integrational, is that what you were saying there?
Yeah, the fact that there is also as well a lot of content inside the web chart,
Yeah, the educational side.
the educational everything. You can go there and learn a lot for free, included in the evaluation prices and the subscription. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just share the screen here for a moment, if I may. If we look, at Wealth Charts. So Wealth Charts, there's a lot of things we can cover with Wealth Charts, but there's a lot of different types of things. First of all, people can learn from each other. People can post trading ideas. Here, let me just go ahead and update. It's probably been half hour, 45 minutes since I looked at the most recent posts. So I'll just go ahead and restart this real fast. And we'll go ahead and we'll see, what people are looking at here. And so what happens is so this is a basic template for Wealth Charts, Apex, but we also have like a home page here. If I click this, if I go ahead and I click like the home page, you'll see some of like the most recent posts that people have put in. So you can get trading ideas and thoughts from other people. So I'll go ahead and expand this. So we'll not just look at the first handful of ideas. We can go back and look at more ideas. So you see people are posting different ideas into the market. And what's kind of cool is then, of course, you can take a look at these different ideas. You can follow the people if you like what they're saying here. C King was watching some of the great classes, which we're actually going to talk about in just a moment. So it ties in well here. And I probably, since C King just said something nice, I should probably follow C King. So there, I just followed C King going forward there. And this Marciops is posting a lot, so I think I'm going to follow Marciops. So now I can just see the people that I'm following, or I can go ahead and see, these are all people I'm following, or I can discover from everybody, or I can see who like the top contributors are. But what's nice is that you can actually go back then as you're looking at this, and it'll play it forward for you. So I'm just going to go back a little bit here and take. I'll just pick this one randomly. So this person, put an idea out there, and then you can hit the play button and see. Then you can see what happened to the market afterwards.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's amazing. So you can really see if that guy has had the right idea or not.
Exactly. And so then you can follow, and I haven't followed this Marciops 01 up until just now. I did it because they posted so many different ideas. Different people speak different languages as well. We actually have some new features for language coming out actually very soon, like Spanish, Portuguese, and a bunch of other languages are going to be put into Wealth Charts shortly, because we got a lot of people posting different languages. But yeah, so you can look at the different ideas, so you can get education just from fellow traders. And there's certain ones that do a really good job of posting different ideas, and so you can kind of follow what they're saying. And if you like what they're saying here, so here I'll just pull up this Irwin, here. So Irwin's got their thought power champion pack and IRB. Okay, so we'll play it forward. And so what you can do is, now obviously the further back it goes, you may have to bring it back up to where they posted their post, but you can see
Mhm.
it did actually break above with the champion trend pack, just like they said back there, and the IRBs, which are another one of my strategies. So it's like, okay, well, I'll go watch a couple more of Irwin's ideas. And if I like Irwin's ideas, then I'm going to start following Irwin. That's how you can do that. So that's one form of education. Just your fellow traders is a great form of following people. So yeah, you can see what, so they can't lie about it. Whatever they said at that time, it's set in stone, and then you can play forward from what happened. So if they drew key levels, things of that nature, you can then see how those levels performed in the future. And you'd be amazed how some of these people do an incredible job. So that's one form of education. Then,
Yeah, because sorry if I interrupt you 1 second,
sure.
because I was wondering myself, I was like, many times, many socials or other platforms, people post, then they edit, then delete the post, they hide if they did wrong, they show when they did good. So in this case, they're not able to do anything after they post.
They're not able to do that. It's out there, and that's it. They can't delete it. They can't hide it.
All
So it's
that.
there. So what good is it if they hide their bad ones and only keep their good ones?
Yeah.
That's not real, and so just like you, right? You don't just show your wins; you show plenty of losses.
Yeah.
So you keep it real. And then another thing that you can do is, now this is to your point, if you go up here to the little hamburger menu in the upper left hand corner, and then you type in TV, so for like WealthCharts TV, I'll just put this up here. You can put it wherever you want, but you'll see there's prop trader training classes here. They're part of your membership, and you can just click in there. And I recently did a bunch of classes. Dr. Keith did classes. Some of our staff did classes teaching some of the new features that we've added, because in WealthCharts we're constantly adding new features, as you know, Hamza.
Mhm.
And so there's some great class for prop and day traders there. So a lot of great classes that they can watch right in there that have been recently filmed. So we're education is very important to us. We want people to be with us for the long term, so we're not registered financial representatives. We can't give individual advice to people, but I can talk about how I'm looking at the market, same strategies I'm using to help me win trading competitions around the world, for instance. And so that's what I can offer people, and that's something that's kind of exciting inside of WealthCharts there as well.
Yeah, honestly, I started watching your videos here that are available there regarding your indicators, your champion cross indicator, and how you use them. And definitely, I noticed it a big improvement in my side. At least avoiding trades. For example, when you say the higher time frame in this direction, and then other time frame, the indicator is telling me something else. Don't touch it. Run away from it. So I wanted to connect. If you want to hear with us, share as well how you usually trade, and if you want to share one of your strategy, how you navigate web chart during the time, and maybe show as well possible trades that happened today or yesterday regarding.
Yeah. So one of the first things I like to see, and this is just using the champion trend pack of indicators, which comes for WealthCharts Apex, members there. And of course, WealthCharts Ultimate members go ahead and get, basically, all these wonderful goodies. But this is something that WealthCharts Apex members get as well, this champion trend pack. And so kind of backing up for a moment, I did a video this weekend, and I said, after the back-to-back wins in Europe, Rob's same strategy happened repeatedly throughout this week. So I kind of highlighted that, talked about it. You'll see when I shot the video this weekend, we kind of had that same situation where we had the rising daily chart, the lower hourly chart there. And so those kind of things were happening. So in the video, I went ahead and about 4 minutes and 50 seconds or so in, I'll pop it up here. You'll see that I actually mentioned a lot. You should watch the whole video from the weekend, but I posted this.
As we go into next week now, we now have a new layer of resistance here, and so that IRB up there.
So you see, I made reference to what's called the IRB. So this is one of my strategies, and it's available for WealthCharts Apex members, and we include a scanner for WealthCharts Apex members as well for the IRBs. So this went ahead and fired off what's called IRB, institutional retracement bar. excuse me. And as you know, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. I apologize. So hopefully it'll all turn out good for the audience. I want to take good care of them. But so the resist, this whole bar, basically from the bottom of the wick to the top of the wick, is one big band of resistance. What does that mean? It's a tough going, to the upside here until we can break through that top end and make that support. Then that gives us much more of a opportunity for continuation. But what I was saying in that video was this whole band right here, that wick is basically one big layer of IRB resistance. So armed with that information now, going into the, let me just lower that, going into today, what did we have happen? We went ahead and there's that, that IRB. And this morning we went ahead, the market was, pushing up initially there, but then you'll see as we started getting into those upper levels this morning, the market quickly retreated and whipsawed back on people. You see that? And so it was very choppy. But what is the net? When I look at this daily chart, what would you say the general trend is of this? Now you've gotten to watch some of my videos. The champion trend here, Hamza, is what? Bullish or bearish?
That is bullish. That's bullish.
Right? Yep. And the champion cross, this all important indicator we see right here, is that bullish or bearish?
Bullish as well.
All right. So now let's go to the hourly chart. And despite the pullbacks to the downside earlier this morning, this is the key. Despite the pullbacks, was the champion trend and the champion cross bullish or bearish at that time?
Bullish too.
So what this tells me is my strategy walking in the door, I want to find resumptions, what I refer to as resumptions, where the market has pulled out of these areas that I typically trade off of 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute charts. I use the hourly and dailies for my trend direction. I'll say that again. I typically trade off of 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute charts, but my direction is determined by that hourly and that daily. And then I'm looking for the 1 minutes and 5 minutes to try to get resumption back into the direction of the hourly and daily. Okay, very important. So with that being said, I'm not looking to short this thing as it's going down into support. That's just like, right here, this is resistance right up above here. So I know that the favored trade is, since this is bullish and this is bullish, but we have resistance above us, the best thing for us to do, wait for the market to pull back. And then when it resumes back into the direction of the trend, it comes out of this, this champion cross, that's where the entry opportunity takes place. All right. And this is actually what I did during the trading competition as well with, live real money. There was waiting for the market to push back into the direction of the most viable trend at that time. And I think there was a screenshot of my charts there at the time of the trend. So I might be able to go back and show that to you in a moment. But the key is that I'm then looking for 1 minute and or 2 minute and or 5 minute charts to go ahead and resume back into the direction of the trend. And even if you're trading like this picking a bar at random, this is roughly the 21,790 area, and within 2 minutes it shot up there over 10 points, right? So $200 a contract, and a lot of people, as you know, are trading 5-10 contracts, so that could be $1,000, $2,000 in 1 or 2 minutes, that kind of movement. So the key is that the daily was up, the hourly was up. I'm not looking to short it. I'm not looking to short it into that rising trend. I'm waiting until it resumes. It shakes the tree and gets all those counter trend traders, and that's a good point. I literally travel all over the world, and I focus on traders all over the world. I have, yet to find someone who's truly long-term consistent as a full-time counter trend trader. I've seen funds that have done impressive things in short term and then blown up their funds, and they've had to close their funds. Most counter trend traders don't do very well, especially in the retail trader space. Everybody wants to catch a top tick or bottom tick, and in the end, it doesn't lead to true success for the long term when we're talking about real money. We're not talking about simulated trading, fake money trading, and hidden trading. We're talking about real portfolio-based, can prove it with statements type trading. Trend trading tends to be what works for most traders. I just saw a social media influencer that a lot of people know. He just actually announced the other day, you know what? My biggest revelation I just had this past weekend was I need to focus on just trend trading. I'm like, yep. And that's something I've been talking about for decades. Trying to be top catcher, bottom catcher doesn't work for the long term for most people. You're trading against the predominant forces. And are they smarter or are we smarter? Typically, they get a lot of high-paid people to be smarter than we are, generally speaking. And so so what I'm looking for with this all, I'm looking to see what is the daily doing, what is the hourly doing, and then I like to try to trade with that trend. So long side bias trades only, for instance, no shorts in this case. Because all I'd be doing is, even this morning, with those nasty violent wicks to the downside, I would have been shorting into rising hourly and daily support. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. That's very something that I will try as well to change in my trading, is have the direction. Don't I did a mistake last week. I tried to counter. The market was just rising, and I was like, I'm trying to get a short here. A short has more power to give me more money, but in reality, you're just going against the statistic game, and the probability, the fact that most probably you're gonna fail going against your higher time frame, like you said.
Well, this is where patience comes in. Patience, waiting for the trade to pull back and start to resume again. And that's where we all get frustrated. It's like, oh, I don't want to wait. I'm in a trading competition. So-and-so is making this much money. So-and-so is making that much money. And Rob Hoffman's flat. I'm like, I want to trade. I want to trade. But by taking that trade at the wrong time, let me see if I can just pull up the photo again for that, because I think that's really important to help you understand. So look what was happening. So the daily chart was in an uptrend. The hourly chart was in a downtrend, but it had this big move to the downside. And it's a little bit hard to see, but I have this thing called speed lines there. It's basically very short-term trailing support resistance. And so what happened was it broke above that, leaving me a bunch of room from, let me see if I can just highlight it really close for you. Sorry, let me see if I can zoom this in for you a little bit. Here we go. Beautiful. So what you can hopefully see on the screen there, if it's coming up for you, we basically got through this one layer of resistance. And so there's a whole bunch of room there. And if you look at that distance there, that was nearly 100 points of range between the one resistance level and the second resistance level. So there's a lot of room in there to go ahead and trade with, back to the upside when the predominant trend was to the upside, and we had a short-term overbought big red candle to the downside, which of course, what do all the retail traders do? They get short, right? It breaks below the low of that bar. They get short, caught at the bottom, and then they're the ones on the short covering that power it back up. So what we had was short-term bullishness kicking back in on the lower time frame, and we had room to grow from this one to this area. It's about 100 points of movement there. And so what I was doing was I let it come back. I didn't short into the rising massive daily support. I waited till an opportunity back into the direction of the predominant trend took place. Now, I want to point out that this is a much more aggressive trade than the average small lot retail trader should start out with. Obviously, I've been trading for a few years, as evidenced by the gray on my face. But this is a real world trade, and it's a trade that I did during the trading competition. So I want to share that with people, that what I did was I looked for that opening of that 100-point gap between the two resistance levels coming down, and use that room in that gap to trade back within the predominant trend. You can see we were very oversold over here. That's what this little dot indicates to the downside. This is a tool inside WealthCharts that all Apex members have access to. WealthCharts Apex members, called the Stochastic Spike 2.0. So it has my special formulations. We had long-term very bullish still in the backdrop, short-term very oversold. That's a great opportunity to look for a bounce. Okay, so the point with this is that I saw that opening and waited for it to come about, and now we'll zoom this back out here. And that's why you can see then when we started to go back to bullish, that's where those really great opportunities were. You can see there was bullish here on the shorter term time frames. It pulled into that short term rising support, and as soon as it came back out, that was the opportunity to strike. Make sense?
That makes sense, because I wanted to ask and add a little things here, because in this case, in this exact example you're showing, we can see one things, and that's why you have a lot of experience. That's something not advised for beginners, because we have the daily chart green indicators, the hourly chart red, and at that moment, but still, because your daily chart is still pushing on a bullish direction, you're like, okay, I can find a section on the hour chart where I can go and start taking my long trades.
That's right. But what I would, that's exactly right, Hamza, 100%. And I just want to go ahead and re-echo what I said earlier, that, and what you just said. So thank you. That the normal average small lot retail trader, what they would be better to do, like if you're just starting out trading, or you've recently had a bad run of bad trades, you're just not in a good frame of mind, or you don't know what you don't know yet because you're brand new. That is not a trade for you. What would be better for a person like that? Again, I'm not giving individual advice. I'm just telling people how I'm looking at the market for myself. Okay. But from that perspective, this is the better thing to look for right here, right? The hourly being up, the daily being up. That's going to significantly improve the opportunities for me to go ahead and be on the the right side of the trade, because I've got the hourly and the daily in my favor. That's a much better place to be than if I get those 1 minute and 5 minute charts. In fact, we're even seeing it right here, right? The 5 minute and the 1 minute just resume back here to the upside. This just popped up roughly 8 points. Not a huge move, but a lot of people, I've been watching a lot of these influencers, or a lot of the people who trade through WealthCharts, they're doing 5-10 contracts and things of that nature. Well, 10 contracts at 5 points is $1,000, right? On the NASDAQ mini we're referring to. So $20 per point. So even if it goes 5 points, with 10 contracts, that adds up very quickly. So
definitely.
And then in your real money account, same thing. That happens very quickly, literally in 1 minute's time, just by sitting there and waiting patiently, waiting for the resumption to break back above. Wait for the resumption to break back above. So don't try to catch a falling knife. Wait till the market stops its pullback and then starts to resume back into the direction of the trend. Make sense? And that's the hard part. So what we do is like, oh, I want to short this. I want to catch a short-term top, or I want to start buying it now. And then we wait, we sit there till it stops us out of the trade, only to watch it go back our way. And then we get really frustrated. We can avoid a couple of those unnecessarily bad trades by just waiting for the resumption. And I hope this is helping, because I really want people to understand a deeper perspective on this. Because I figure anybody that's following you is willing to understand it's not just get rich quick. It's like there's a roller coaster of profits and losses. And even you watching the video that you shot yesterday, you're taking very seriously how you're trying to focus on the trend and the direction of the trend and the quality. So hopefully this helps you and, of course, your audience.
Yeah, no, definitely it's going to help, because like yesterday, for example, in that video I published, I wanted to switch my, many times we have the idea of like, we have to make more, we have to trade more, we have to make a lot of profit. But in reality, many times we need just to cover ourselves, not taking useless trades over and over that are just destroying our P&L. And just keep focusing on patience, and maybe look even for that singular trade on a day that is your A+ setup, where everything is aligned. It makes more sense than try to take 3-4 trades and trying to get that big gain, instead of looking for that little consistency over and over that is gonna pay off. Because as many says, trading is not a sprint, it's a marathon, a long marathon by yourself, and it takes time, many times, for traders and beginners. And this is a very good lesson from you. Like, patience, wait to get the right direction of the market, wait for the actual different time frame to match, and then look for the perfect entry so that you can avoid taking useless trades. Like today, I mostly looked for longs. I did not execute unlike I wanted today, and I did mistakes. But what I was happy today is that I looked only for longs.
Yeah, well, and it's not just the money we make, it's also the money we keep. And also remember, like right now, look what's happening. So if we look net here, the 1 minute chart is in a downtrend. Okay. Also, remember the resistance that I warned about this weekend and actually started off our video earlier on as well. We're still in that resistance. So how does that affect how we trade? If it's okay, I'll share that with your audience as well. Because this is, you mentioned the one trade a day where, people look at that two different ways. Number one, they're like, well, I like to put something on in the morning and just let it ride all day. But in reality, what this tells me, like when I'm sitting there looking for a long side trade in a market right now where we're in that major resistance I identified this weekend, am I going to go ahead and do big size and try to let it run? Or am I going to go ahead and put on whatever size trade I do? Maybe it's smaller size, maybe it's still full size, but am I going to go ahead and have a tight trailing stop behind it so that as soon as this thing stops the upward momentum, I'm going to immediately look to get out of it? And I'm sure when we were talking about like this bar right over here a few minutes ago, I'm sure that people understand that in a situation like that, well, first of all, the 1 minute chart on this one is in a downtrend. But let's go back and focus on it being in the direction that these other ones were. So like this is much more of a real world example. This, you've got a general uptrend on the, and let's just go back to what you'd actually see there. There you go. Okay. So now you've got it. We've pulled back above. The general uptrend on that 1 minute chart is up. The 5 minute chart was up. And as we know, the daily, the hourly, and the daily were up. But as I mentioned, we are in this all day resistance right now that we are struggling with. Okay. So what that means is when I go to put a trade on like this, when it starts to resume back to the upside, I understand that there's still a big wave of resistance right above me. And so I'm going to trail tighter. This isn't the kind of trade we're looking to run. The kind of trade I'd be looking for to run would be once this key resistance level is broken, it pulls up through, pulls back, makes it support, and now the market's free to go on board that original direction without that resistance there. That's the kind of one where maybe we can try to hold on longer and maybe perhaps swing for those bigger trades. You see the difference? Right now, the daily chart is in a major resistance level, and we're sitting there struggling on it and have been basically all day long. So when I'm trading this, I'm looking for the long trade. Why? Because the 1 minute is net up. The 5 minute is up, the hourly is up, the day is up. So I'm only going to look for a long side trade. But am I looking for the one that's going to run and run and run? No. First of all, of course, the cash market's going to close as of the time of this video here in 7 minutes. The cash market's going to close. And second of all, when this screenshot was taken, as where I'm showing it, but the point is, if this was 7 minutes before, so I've only got so much time left in that market in the first place, and I'm going to be looking for this. Then I want immediate results. I want it to pop up, and then as it's popping up, I'm just going to trail back behind it here. And as soon as that momentum stops, whether it stops here, wherever it stops, then I'm going to have that trade coming in behind it, that trailing trade, to go ahead and stop me out of that trade. Why? Because we have massive resistance still on the daily chart. And I know I'm throwing a lot at people today, but with me, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get hardcore and advanced trading, right? I'm trying to give some basic concepts in there for people, and then I'm also trying for our more advanced traders, and because a lot of traders that are seasoned that are watching these videos as well, and so I'm trying to give something for everybody and tell how we manage different types of trades under different circumstances.
And honestly, this factor of you explaining why you're going to trade it or not, it's a point that many traders and beginners traders have with that conflict period of time where they are like, today I cut it out, freaking hell, this market is running up. And the next day they're like, yes, this time I'm gonna run it up, but without any logic behind. And they're like, they're just playing the emotion, be like, yesterday it worked out, but I cut myself out. Today I'm gonna let it run. Oh, but it stopped me out right away. Why is not working? But in reality, they have to have a logic behind that helps the idea of taking the trade longer than than other days. Like in this case, you said there is a resistance on the daily. That's my logic behind of trading aggressively.
Well, and right now, let's be honest, where we're at right now, as you know, we've got terrible situations with Russia. There's threats from China, Iran.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of world activities, a lot of world things going on. Obviously, what just happened is at the time of the shooting of this video, this past a few days, Ukraine did a massive attack against Russia. We don't know what's going to come from that. We've got the budget bill being fought right now, the big beautiful bill by President
Yeah.
Trump. And so we have a lot of things that can be tide movers here. And so as you're going into the end of the day, for instance, would you rather be flat and go home flat and sleep like a baby? Or, do you want to hold a major position overnight? So you can expect that sometimes we're going to see, like what we're seeing right now is, some of that risk off going into the end of the day, especially under the circumstances that I just described. So another reason, if I'm looking to take a long side trade, I'm going to want to go ahead and be more judicious in how I'm trailing that trade, be more aggressive, take what the market will give me. Bears make money, bulls make money, pigs get slaughtered. Don't be a pig. And, and then, move on, look for the next opportunity as we come into tomorrow morning's session.
You showed us your idea of possible, entry, when you should not take a trade, when you should be patient. But you right now explained about being a trailing your take profit, in a way, your stop loss at least, to avoid pullback aggressively in this kind of market condition. Do you have a set of rules on your case about like this is I'm out if this happens, and I'm taking my profit in this case, or you are playing the daily different each time?
Yeah. So as far as the challenges, part of it, it's always the risk factor, right? As far as trailing up the trade, because like we just talked about, a market where the hourly chart and the daily chart are against each other, and we're going to be into that area that I call the kill zone. By default, that's typically going to limit the amount of profit opportunities. And so even if somebody gets in, and we see a lot of people when those situations are happening where they get a short-term profit. So like, okay, well, I need X number of dollars today. I'm looking at my portfolio, and I should make this much dollars, or I want to make this dollar. So it's almost the end of the week, and my goal is whatever, $500 a day, $1,000 a day, whatever your goal is. And I'm like, well, gee, I'm about $600 behind on the day. So this has to make me $600. So they don't take what the market gives based on the support and the resistance. They go ahead and they impart their will on the market. It's a huge mistake. So part of it is, fear and greed are extraordinarily powerful motivations in the market. So it's not just waiting patiently for the right trade, but then it's managing the trade based on what the market says you realistically have available here based on the support and resistance, rather than, well, my portfolio says I want to make this much money still today or this week. And so you'll see a lot of times people might do very well Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday give it back because they're
Destroyed.
they're trying to make that extra money to get that weekly goal. That goal should be a goal. It should not be a hard stop. And so people that are very successful in life, doctors and other busy, other professionals, people that manage a lot of staff, they're used to, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do to make it happen. And then it just happens. Well, sometimes the handicap that they walk into trading with is, well, they can just tell the market to do the same way they manage wonderful, big companies or are handling people's lives in their hands, like medical professionals. They can impart their will and have it be done. But the reality is with the market, you can't tell and will the market to do what you want. You can yell at it all you want, but the market's going to do what it does based on, this key support and resistance levels, the algorithms that are built around those types of factors, and, human nature with fear and greed. So with that being said, the support, the amount of money that the market can give and the risk for a particular trade depends in part the upper level factors like we talked about are what's the daily and the hourly chart doing, and then on the lower, and then like we were talking about here throughout this, we have this key resistance above us. So this whole thing is one big wall of resistance, and I identified that, like I said, in the weekend video, I'd identified that before we walked in here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So that same resistance I identified is still causing the market a lot of stress 3 days later. And so knowing that and just respecting it for what it is, and say, look, there are, $500,000 gain opportunities with 5 or 10 contracts in here. There's multiple those spikes that the market gave repeatedly this morning, but those are base hits. We're not trying to swing for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in a situation like that. And so that it's the risk reward is going to be based on where the key overall support resistance levels are on the higher time frames, since we have to respect the institutional flows.
That's definitely makes sense. And if I can have another question regarding this, because being a difficult period is the importance of cutting losses, right? We cannot have a 100% win rate as much as we would love to win every time. How do you define yourself and how do you handle your losses in when you have like a day where it's not working?
Yeah. So as far as the losses, there's a lot of like my techniques and strategies, like the IRB strategy. It's a really great strategy, and where the entry takes place from that, there's a defined risk on the opposite side of the setup bar that defines it. So, for instance, all of these bars that have these little triangles right now, those are the IRB setup bars. Okay, and so what that means then, so this is an IRB, and we're in an uptrend. So what I want to do is I want to break above the high of that bar to look for a long side trade. Now, let's say that happened here. If I got into this trade and then the market turned around and went back down below the low of that bar, something went terribly wrong, because what I'm expecting to have happen is once we break above the high of that bar, so here's what we call a reverse IRB. You'll see the wick is on the bottom instead of the top in the uptrend, so it's called the reverse IRB. Again, this is another tool that's available for WealthCharts Apex members, and there's a scanner that goes along with this as well that's available for WealthCharts Apex members. There's no upgrade or cost for that, so I'm just sharing some techniques and tools there that are part of WealthCharts Apex. So it identifies the bar. Well, then when we break 1 tick, 1 cent, 1 pip above the high, as evidenced by that green dot there, then what I'm expecting it to do is start to go up, take off. I'm not expecting it to break below the low of the bar. Does that make sense? And so there, because like this is a momentum play. It's a short-term pullback against a predominant trend. It's another variation of those resumption trades that I'm looking for. It's a short-term pullback against the predominant trend. Usually that's where the average small retail trader will get shaken out of their trades or not get into the trade in the first place. Like, oh, good thing I didn't take that trade. That would have been another one of those pullbacks. Whew, I would have lost money. And then they come back 5 minutes later, an hour later. Oh man, look, I knew it was going to go up. Oh, I should have gotten into the trade, but the market went on without them because they got spooked out on those bars. So that's why I actually like to look for those bars and scan for those bars. And so the point that I'm making is, to kind of get back to the answer is the stop loss is built into that trade, because the expectation is that the market is shaking out the opposite direction. For the people who are looking at longs, they start seeing a red bar like, oh, good thing I didn't take that trade, or no way I'm taking that trade. Or if they were long, they get out and lose money. And then it goes right back their direction. Now, the expectation at that point is it's going to start taking off to the upside. If it breaks below the low of the setup bar, then, from my perspective, for most people, that's an automatic out. And so the point is that a lot of these setups and strategies that I have, and I teach kind of the different exits depending on whether a person's more of a scalper, or holding for several minutes to hours, possibly holding for days. There's different stop loss tools, like the champion cross here. This guy, closing below the bottom of the bar, closing below the bottom can be a stop loss. Champion trend if you're swinging for the big moves. And then I also have a tool called the speed line tool. We kind of saw an image of that earlier, where it's much closer, and that's meant to be a high velocity trade tool there. So what happens is, as soon as it breaks, all this is green, it breaks back up above those speed lines. As soon as it closes back below those speed lines, you're getting out. So the point is, I have different tools to go ahead and help, based on what the setup is, to help determine what the exit point is. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And just to reiterate as well, guys, all these indicators that right now that Rob is showing, and showing as well his strategy in his way, and his lessons are all available there in WealthChart. We're just purchasing an Apex Trader funding account that sometimes you can get for 90% off for $16. You get all this value and all these golden indicators and help and videos. It's totally a great value on 100% on any factors. And just to add
the champion setup, I just want to clarify, the champion setup, the IRB scanner, the momentum shift 2.0, or sorry, the stochastic spike 2.0, those are these things that you see on the screen right there. Those are part of your WealthCharts Apex there. Those ones that I just showed.
Perfect. Just to as well add these things about futures, and because you've built WealthChart from zero, from nothing, and I'm sure that many times you have built the futures that not many people use, but that is such a powerful things for traders. Do you think you have one in WealthChart that is not that used that much, but is should be used much more, and traders don't know about it probably?
Yeah. So, boy, as I think about WealthCharts and some of the different features, there definitely are a couple of things that kind of stick out to me. I guess what I'll do is I'll probably break it down into things that come with WealthCharts Apex and things that are available for like WealthCharts Ultimate members, because there's kind of a couple of things on both sides, if that makes sense. There's a lot of things. Because WealthCharts has a lot of features for Ultimate members, that are really serious active traders and investors, as well. So kind of kicking off with some of the thoughts for, we actually kind of talked about a couple of them. Champion Trend Pack, IRB. So the Champion Trend Pack is everything that I just kind of showed right here, right? And so again, let me just actually, since we're looking at the live market here, is this the kind of trade that I want to take? Let me pull over the 5-minute chart. Now, forget the fact that we already know it's at the end of the day. Let's just pretend this was 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time, 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific Time, 11 Eastern, just random time in the middle of the morning. Is this the kind of setup that I'm looking for to go long in right now? What do you think, Hamza, based on what you see on my screens?
From my point, I would say, being a beginner intermediate trader, I would say no. I would say I will not take any longs there for the moment.
Yep, and you're absolutely correct. And for the audience, the answer would be the answer of why is because, yes, the hourly chart is up. The daily chart is up. But remember what I said, I want that 1-minute chart. I want that 5-minute chart to be back into the direction of the trend. So if I'm going ahead and taking this trade when this is in a downtrend, the risk of short-term spikes back up that get slightly above or into the champion cross here and then get reversed right back down, actually, that's the kind of trade I look for in a short side market. So in other words, if the daily were down, the hourly were down, I would be shorting quite aggressively this movement, because you see these sell signals that are here, the stochastic spike 2.0s, you see they're very overdone, you know, on the upside. If these were to the downside here, I'd actually be looking for this for short side resumption opportunities to the downside. So exactly as Hamza said, I wouldn't want to. If my champion trend is red, my champion cross is red, going long is not a high probability trade. I promise you a certain percentage of them will work. I promise you a small percentage of them will work. But in the grander scheme of your profitability over the long term, I don't think it's a good move. So take that for what you will. Check it out for yourself. And so what I really want there is I want that 1 minute and preferably the 5 minute right back into the direction of that hourly and daily at a minimum the 1 minute. If I can't even get a 1 minute chart trading in the direction of my trend, what in the world am I trading? Make sense?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, if we start to trading like totally different direction in a small time frame and higher time frame, then we are just starting to have playing against ourselves, playing against statistic game, and we're just trying to gamble a possible bottom turn. That does not work. Yeah,
Exactly.
100%. So
So going back to your question, I want to go back to your question because you're asking like some things.
Yeah.
So the champion trend pack for for somebody, like what are some features that people should be looking at and using more, in my opinion? Well, as you know, I've talked to you about champion trend pack before, and I think your video yesterday actually may have even shown it a little bit for a few minutes if I saw it correctly.
Yeah.
And so champion trend pack is a key thing. Now, in addition to the champion trend pack, and that's why with WealthCharts, when people log into WealthCharts, let's see if I got something up here. I'll just take WealthCharts TV back off here. So when somebody first logs in, right when you go buy your WealthCharts Apex account, this is the first screen you see. Now, we tried to do this to make it as easy for people to get up and running as possible. Some people would say we did a great job. Some people would say, oh, well, it's complex. And let me show you why. Because you get to select what account you're looking to log into initially there. And then boom, here you are. You're going ahead and you get met with as your first time logging in. You get a little tutorial on the trade copier. We're showing trading dome and we're showing you a chart. And then, because I like to, and so you can go through a tutorial on the trade copier if you like, or you don't have to. If you ever close that out and you want to re-see it, then you can always go right back up here and take the tour again, or you say, don't show me this again. So we've got the trade copier here, but we also have a trade dome. It's amazing how many people don't actually look at a trade dome these days. And of course, then they don't really know the quantities. And the thing is, so sometimes you'll wonder, why didn't I get a fill? Well, there wasn't contract size at those levels. And WealthCharts fills as if it were like the real market based on the bid and offers at that time. And so so people see, well, wait, but it went up to this price. Yeah, but there was no volume there, or they get a partial fill because we fill more accurately, which is going to be important for all of you that are going to need to eventually move to real money. It won't be a culture shock where you're used to just hitting the line blindly and all of a sudden magically, poof, your whole volume, you got 100 minis or 100 micros on, and they all magically get filled instantly. Well, with WealthCharts, it's going to fill based on the size. You're going to get a feel for the real money world ahead of you. And so but what happens is this is the page you're greeted with. You're greeted with a page. It gives you a chart here. There's a 1 hour chart kind of hidden back behind here. There's a daily chart hidden back behind here, along with your portfolio, watch list, the IRB scanner, to kind of give you some things. And of course, the trade copier to give you some of the things. Now, what I have been told is that some people are like, oh, wow, well, that's way too overwhelming. Now, we thought we were doing people a favor because you immediately, when you come to WealthCharts, you don't have to connect it like other platforms. I don't want to name the platforms, but you guys know it. You got it when you sign up for a lot of your accounts, you got to connect them, and it's kind of a pain, and you don't know what to do. You're kind of lost in the woods. With WealthCharts, the moment you log in, you're immediately greeted with your Apex, credentials and login, and then you can get to a page. Some people have said, well, maybe do something more like this right here. Just give me a single chart and give me a board on the side or a board on the top, because I don't care about the dome. I just want to trade on the chart, which of course you can do very well with WealthCharts, as you know, Hamza. And so, people said, just give me this, right? So we're looking at offering a bunch of different templates. And we actually do have different templates already built in for WealthCharts Apex. If you look down here, we've got dark mode, light mode, we got multi-use, execution, analysis, but we'll probably add something more simple for like this as well for people. But when you do something like this, they don't necessarily know that, oh, they've got a dome, they've got a trade copier. So everybody's a little bit different there. But you can make it as simple as this. And what's really nice is you can just, there's a lot of neat features, especially you can just set this thing up and customize it however you want. It's pretty crazy, especially if you have like WealthCharts Ultimate. It gives you so many more benefits to set things up and just go crazy with the number of charts, the number of indicators. WealthCharts Ultimate just is, well, it's the best of everything. But even without WealthCharts Apex, you still get a lot of benefits that kind of supersede a lot of what you have out there. And again, like this Champion Trend Pack, it's on no other platform in the world. We haven't licensed it, we haven't authorized it to be on any other platform in the world. And to me, that's a huge benefit, coming off of the fact that I just won 2 more of those competitions in Europe a few weeks ago, a week and a half ago. So the point is that you can make it as complex or as simple, but we make it the moment you come in. The first time you come in, you're going to be greeted with, I'll just refresh it so you can kind of see that again. You'll be, when you sign up for your first WealthCharts Apex account, it'll immediately take there. It'll show you any accounts that you have behind the scenes. You select an account. And then, and also for like people like you, Hamza, I don't know if you do this, but you can hide your account numbers if you share it with your friends. If people run trading rooms, or they just take screenshots and they want to share it with their friends, but they don't want their friends to see their account numbers. Obviously, I'm having to test one, so I didn't even have to worry about it. But you can hide those different things. There's a lot of tutorials. If you want to go and look at the question mark box here, go look at WealthCharts updates. You can get a feel for all sorts of updates. And Hamza, this is just in May. In fact, we've made a lot of mobile updates. I think you said you were going to go take a look at some of the cool stuff we did with mobile as well. So here's the things that we did here in May. And then in April, you can go ahead and take a look at some of the features. So you can go up there anytime you want. I'll let you guys do that on as you see fit to learn. We also got training tools here as well. So like if you want to go ahead and drop down, you'll see there's different types of selections here that you can choose. So what the goal of all this is to try to give people an opportunity to learn and kind of follow along. We have all-day training rooms as well. Now I'm going to add that in addition to Champion Trend Pack, the all-day support room. Hamza, they just like we're on a video right now. We have a person who's sitting in there all day from 9 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, sitting in there Monday through Friday, just like you and I are kind of sitting here right now. And they can come in and they can type in a question. Hey, how do I add an indicator? Oh, sure, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, let me go ahead and show you. You just, and they're on screen so you can quickly, easily follow along. So you don't have to worry about sending an email to some company and hope that you hear back from somebody in a few days, or leave a voicemail that you never hear back from. You can go ahead and get great support with WealthCharts. And Hamza, you know how great our support is, but you can sit there and go and work with our support team, and they'll show you, well, hey, how do I enable desyncing in the trade copier? How do I go ahead and change symbols in the trade copier? How do I set up templates? What does the check mark mean, versus not checked? And because that's synced versus desynced in that. My ratios, how do I set up my ratios or set up a cross trade? et cetera. You can come in and ask all sorts of great questions. So that's a highly underutilized. Usually, I think there's like a 500 or 1,000 people in there at any given time. So, compared to the huge audience that we have,
Yeah.
that's a very small percentage of people. And so, I'm glad that so many people are taking advantage of it. But if you said, Rob, what is one thing you want people to do more as a beginner? Get in there and learn and get, get help getting set up and getting a quick up and running. It's like having your own personal tour guide there Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's a great opportunity for people. Another thing that the IRB scanner, I just showed you like looking for IRBs. So those IRB setups, those little what I drew them as magenta dots or triangles there, the IRB and reverse IRB setups. Here you can look for those in advance. See the entry with those. If let me go back to the screen over here. When you're in the uptrend and we break 1 tick, 1 cent, 1 pip above the high of those bars, okay, that's where the actual entry is. Well, by that time, now you got to be reactionary. It's like, ooh, it broke above. I got to get over there and chase.
You need to be fast, yeah.
So my argument is, why not be alerted with the scanner when the setup happens? So now, especially if you're trading off a 1 minute, 2 minute chart, why not get the alert that the setup happened? So then you can go watch the chart. So when it breaks above, you can immediately go ahead and take action as you see fit. Does that make sense? And so that IRB scanner would be another thing, and that's part of your WealthCharts Apex membership. So those would be 3 things that I can think of right away: Champion Trend Pack, that all-day support room, and like the IRB indicators and tools to take advantage of, with WealthCharts as a brand new WealthCharts Apex member. And then as far as for more power users, they get access to WealthCharts Ultimate. And that's something most people don't know. WealthCharts Ultimate is more than 50% off for Apex members. So nobody knows that because that's not a broadcasted offer. I don't even know if you knew that.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. So like if I go to wealthcharts.com here, so you can read about this. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but since it is something you didn't even know. But if you look at you see about all these wonderful things with WealthCharts Ultimate. Okay. Well, so I'll let you guys do this later. I don't want to focus on this too much. We got different integrated brokers and different things like that. That's all wonderful. But you'll see the normal annual price is $1,970, or for monthly it's $197, which for all the stuff that's in there, built by the only 35-time real money trading champion on the planet, is a lot of value. But it's like 50% off. It's only $990 or $970.
Yes.
$970 for annual membership. $970, which is like what, $80.83 a month. You reset a couple of accounts, and you've paid,
that's it.
or don't have to reset a couple of accounts and you paid for it. And then, the monthly ends up breaking down at about $97 a month there. So it's 50% off. So that's a hidden thing that's only for WealthCharts people, WealthCharts Apex people, excuse me. But otherwise year round, these are the normal prices you'll see literally all year round. Now, but with that, go ahead.
No, to be honest, usually, if you with this ultimate plan, speaking with you, trader, watching this video, you're with these indicators and this help and this content, you're able to just not reset your account twice a day. That is the price of the ultimatum for you as an Apex trader.
Yeah, that's kind of how my perspective is on it, right? Think about the cost of account resets and everything else. It's like, well, gee, if I could avoid blowing out a few accounts alone, maybe this would pay for itself from my perspective. That's certainly how I look at it. Now and then there is so many awesome tools with the unlimited. There's a lot of unlimiteds, and factors with there. So, but moving on, the reason why I show that though is because 2 of the features that, with the Ultimate, for instance, the power scanner. So the power scanner is a really important tool here. This is basically, so the power scanner is the Champion Trend Pack tools in scanner format. So Champion Cross, the Champion Trend, Wealth Signal, Breakout Forecaster, Range Breaker, all these powerful tools, which you guys can learn more about how to use those tools as part of your WealthCharts Apex membership. You can learn how to use those tools because you get access to the tools themselves. But if you want to set up your own scans, because you can set up a filter, especially with WealthCharts Ultimate, you can set up your own scanner and then your filters. What are you looking for? What requirements are you looking for? If it's an equity, maybe volume requirements, price requirements. When did the Champion Trend fire off? When did the Champion Cross fire off? And you can set up a whole bunch of like filters, and then it will only show you the ones, and it can alert you. It can then send you a message as an Ultimate member. To send you a pop-up message, a text message, or an email when these criteria that you're looking for are happening. So Power Scanner, as you can imagine, is a pretty big deal. And so that would be a key one for there. By the way, one other one for that affects WealthCharts Apex people, our trade copier is free for WealthCharts Apex members. I know a lot of platforms charge for it, but the WealthCharts Apex one is part of your WealthCharts Apex membership. And then as far as one that's near and dear to my heart, because I just use it to gear up for my trading competitions in Europe, is the trade simulator. So we have a lot of different things you can do. You can do chart replay, where I can like start a chart from a certain place and then go ahead and do start chart replay. See, and I could actually just set it up from there and make it go faster or slower, and kind of look at it there. We have a paper trading, version as well for paper trading with WealthCharts Ultimate. But also there's the thing called Trade Simulator. Now, Trade Simulator is, something that I use getting ready for trading competitions. Well, the way it works is you just put it anywhere you want it on your screen. Of course, you can make it full screen. All this stuff is customizable. You can see I can do lots of silly stuff here. I'm doing a little bit of that just to kind of show some silliness here for a moment. Because a lot of people say they can only put one, chart or two charts on their screen. I'm like, well, with WealthCharts, you can get really silly if you want. Okay, so I just want to show you guys that for a moment. But the point is that if we look back to the trading simulator, this is what I personally use to help gear up for trading competitions and that, because what happens is I can launch the trading simulator. I can either say, I want to give you a specific instrument, like give me the NASDAQ on a 1 minute chart or a 5 minute chart, and then from this day to this day, okay, I can do that. Or I can say, give me a random instrument. I don't know what it is. I've just got to pit my skills against it to go ahead and see how good I am at that moment. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
either do custom setup, which I'll just do that for just a moment. See, I can select the symbol. So, I can put that on there, and then I can go ahead and select the start date, start time, custom time frame, my initial capital I'm starting with, or I can go back to do a
Random.
Random setup here. So I'll just turn that on real quick, random, and then I can go select what indicators I want to use. So I have access to the Champion Trend Pack. So of course I'm going to add all those into it. Now I have no idea in the world what this instrument is. And all I can do is start the process here, and I can start buying, I can start selling. And so that's all I can do. See, I can buy and I can sell, and then I can go and look at my equity, based on the trades, based on the dollar amount, what my, and everything else. So really cool, right? And
that's amazing. I didn't know about this feature, by the way. I was just for clarification. This simulated one is with the Apex or with the
that's with Ultimate.
higher one?
That one's
with
with
the
Ultimate.
ultimate. Perfect,
So that's
perfect.
why I was trying to give you just a couple of ideas.
Mhm.
You know, there's countless features for Ultimate, but there's also still a lot of things for WealthCharts Apex. So, and again, people usually quickly realize, wow, for 90 some bucks a month or $80.83 a month for an annual membership, you know, again, a few resets, you know, so people usually go to Ultimate, but we want to give a lot of value in WealthCharts Apex, you know, by itself as well. So what I was just doing was I kind of was showing you, like for WealthCharts Apex, there was things like the support room, the champion trend pack, the IRB indicators and IRB
Mhm.
scanners. For Ultimate, there's also you know, things like the power scanner and like trade simulator. And the trade simulator is just something near to my heart, you know, because I was using this to be at my best going into the trading competition. Well, how about for you guys? It's one thing to go back and look at a chart. Like Hamza, I see you do it every day. You go back and you've done your trades, and then you go back and look, wow, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. Oh, I shouldn't have taken this trade. I didn't do this. But it was on a chart you already knew. You already dealt with that
Mhm.
chart. That chart's there. What about preparing you for the future? And so what the simulator does, you can run the simulations and you can get better with identifying, you know, wealth signals, for instance. That's these bars right here, or
Mhm.
breakout forecasters, which basically means that statistically, after a pullback, we expect a higher high. Breakout forecasters means that after a pullback, statistically, we expect higher highs, and we did get higher highs. So the you know, so you start learn how to use those different indicators, and then identify and start looking for them, you know, as you're trading, you're preparing yourself for your trading. So in other words, and you can slow this down or speed it up so that you can take more time to do your analysis or take less time to do your analysis. And the more you can turn it up, the faster you can make your trading decisions and still be on bar. You'll get to the point where a 1 minute bar feels like it's slow because this thing moves so fast and you're already faster than a 1 minute bar. Whereas a lot of people who come to active futures trading and prop trading initially, they're used to looking at long-term daily charts, weekly charts, long-term investments and positions, and a 1 minute chart feels like they're going to get heart palpitations because it's moving too fast for them.
Mhm.
You know, but if you can go ahead and train with the simulator and get to the point where you're making decisions quicker than within 1 minute, which this certainly allows you to be able to do, then suddenly a 1 minute chart, a 2 minute chart, a 5 minute chart feel like, yeah, I got this. I can make a decision in that time. And it helps you train for that. It helped me train because I'm doing these trading competitions, and whether they're a bigger competition that's like a 12-hour competition that goes from 16 people down to 8 people, down to 4 people, down to 2 people, elimination contest, or they're just okay, you got 2 hours, you know, and whoever makes the most money in that time, regardless of what the competition is, I got to be able to make decisions quick. Just like Apex people have to make decisions quick because by the end of the day, your position's closing out, whether you want to or not, it's closing out, right? And so you have to
Mhm.
make your decisions. So the trade simulator can really help people go ahead and, you know, take random instruments or pre-described instruments and play them forward, and then you can trade them and see how your equity curve turned out.
Yeah, just to speaking about these all these features that honestly a lot of them I didn't know about, and I know WebChart
This
well
is just a
enough.
few of them. There's a lot.
And this is just a few of them, and this is really one things I wanted to point out to many people when they come and tell me, "Ansa, WebChart is missing this," and every time I tell them, guys, don't worry, WebChart has much more, and what the little things is missing is coming. That things is coming and much more because you have a lot of developers there. You have the features that you just showed now, that the new updates coming over and over. And just to connect on that as well with one of the last part of these questions is how you see WebChart evolving on this market, because we are getting so many new trading platform every week. We have a new trading platform or some new platform that you can use anywhere. So what you see WebChart in the next period?
Yeah, well, so sure, there's lots of platforms out there. Hamza, I think you can speak from personal experience. I mean, you recall when you first looked at it, you know, because we obviously work with different teams of people at different times with Apex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This group of people would say, "Oh yeah, looks perfect. It's great, Rob. Wonderful. We're ready to go." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Well, wait, maybe Hamza's team should look at it." And then you look at it like, "Wait, hey, Rob, where's this and where's that? Where's this? And we didn't have this, we didn't have that." And I think it was like, what was it, August of last year or September of last year?
Yeah.
Like over the course of a month, you had 100 different things, and we put all 100 of those things in there for you. You know what I'm saying? Like we have, you know, like so many different things. We and you saw just I'll just show the screen. I think I'm showing the screen still. You go up
Yeah.
here, just look. We're constantly adding new things. This is just, you know, these 4 pages for things. We're just here in May so far, or in May. In April, right? You got 11, 12 pages worth of different things we added. So the thing is with wealth charts is that and I got to be careful not to give away the goods, but there's some really, 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 really cool things coming out here in about, well, 5.5 weeks. And that's going to really be exciting for a lot of people, some things that people wish they'd had. And I happen to know that on the other platforms, they don't have a couple of these things that people are looking for. And it answers some age-old questions for people, and so we're pretty excited. And then we got some, you know, other things that people have been asking for that are coming out. So, you know, June, July, we've got, you know, lots of things, you know, being added in. And so as we ask, where are we going to be in 3 years? Well, I just look at like the last 5 years, and all the awards that we've won for, you know, putting things in, listening to the customers, best scanners, you know, best day trading platform, best swing trading platform, you know. And Hamza, you recall, like we did the beta launch back in like December, January of this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But most people don't understand what a beta is. A beta means, look, you know, we've got a decent product here, but we have issues. We know it. We want you to help us also find additional issues. So it was agreed upon that we were going to go ahead and release it at that time, and we did, and that helped identify things we didn't even know, you know, were an issue on the, you know, the prop trading side, and we fixed all those things up and so much more. We've added unbelievable numbers of things just since, you know, that you know, December, January, beginning of February beta, you know, launched.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you've seen the improvements, you know, from your perspective. You've seen on your side the number of improvements, you know, the compliments about wealth charts, the lack of, you know, I mean, you work with a lot of different platforms. I guess we'll leave it at that. And you see the huge complaint volume on certain platforms, and you've seen what's happened with wealth charts, how that's gone down so dramatically because we're trying to answer the needs and the wants and desires of as many people as we can. So we have a
Mm-hmm.
very aggressive, you know, development cycle, and we have some really exciting things coming up here just to add on to all the wonderful things. But you know how many customers that, you know, WealthCharts Apex has. We have a huge customer base here, and we got a lot of people that are very happy and have done impressive things with accounts. And we also have all that ongoing training and support. We have educators and market experts that come in, do classes inside of WealthCharts there, for, you know, for prop traders, by prop traders. We're listening, and this is a long way to answer your question. Where do we see ourselves in 3 years? Wherever our WealthCharts Apex and WealthCharts Ultimate members take us. I look at the sheer number of things we haven't even begun to discuss. I would encourage people to go back to wealthcharts.com and look at like what's in WealthCharts Ultimate there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so many scanners, so many tools, access to so many different features that are available. And so we've got people moving over now. I'll be careful not to mention the platforms, but we got some big social media influencers moving over from some very well-known platforms, you know, moving over to us and doing some incredible things with us, and are very excited. But you know, I look at the individual student family members who are using wealth charts and using Apex through wealth charts, and basically, you know, talking to us about how much happier they are now versus like even the beta, and that's just, you know, a handful of months ago. So
Yeah.
as we go forward, each and every day, we take that feedback, we look, and we're actively reviewing that every week. We're looking at what people are asking for, and we're collecting that data. And every week we review, like, hey, statistically, we got a higher number of people asking for this versus that and this. Let's focus on some of these key things that more people are asking for. And so we're going ahead and just very aggressively. I mean, I got dozens of developers.
Yeah.
Most of the WealthCharts money is reinvested. We're self-owned, self-invested. We're not owned by a third-party company that dictates how many customer support people we can have, how many developers we can have, because big fat cat corporate bureaucrats want to go ahead and make sure they take home their big checks. We reinvest the money, as you know, right back into WealthCharts. And so we just bring on more developers, more customer support people, and try to take care of people. So we're kind of even though we've become a very large, international company, we still have that mom and pop feel. I'm very active, as you know, within the company, and I'm not a absent CEO. I'm very active and drive that mission because I'm still that real money trader who just won, 2 more trading competitions, a week and a half ago using WealthCharts, and so it's got to be the best for me, as well. And I live and die by that same sword that everybody else does. So when you say, where do you see it being in the next 3 years? It's where everybody who's listening to this broadcast today, the next month, a year from now, I know you've put out videos about WealthCharts that have had several thousand views that people are watching months later.
Yeah.
And so people that are watching this video into the future, where they take us, because the primary mission, I've already inputted a lot of my wishes and what I wish I had back when I was younger. I've put that into WealthCharts, and I'm using it as part of my trading competitions and as part of what I teach to our student family, like in those prop trading courses that are part of your WealthCharts membership. And this reminder, that's in WealthCharts, the WealthCharts TV section. They're right up here. And so I go ahead and I'm just trying to, from there, it's where our student family leads us. What do they need? What are the cutting edge tools and features and benefits that they need? That's what our focus has been. So while I have certain general directions and vision for the company, the last 5 years, the company has taken hard right turns at time to meet the needs and the demands. I mean, we haven't even talked about what's out there in WealthCharts for stock traders, options traders, and Forex. We've got some Canadian, data in there for our Canadian family. We are adding in all these features for, languages and different things like that. Like, there's so many different directions WealthCharts is moving between our different teams. And we're just going to continue to develop. And it'll be a fun conversation 3 years from now to say, wow, well, this is where we were, kind of like where we were even with the beta in January. And now look at where we are and how much better it is just in a handful of months.
Yeah.
And you think about where WealthCharts was 5 years ago versus where it is today. Monumental leaps and bounds. And we're just going to keep growing with those student family members that are invested in us and want to grow with us, as part of our student family. And we hear them, we listen to them. They get to come into those all-day support rooms each day, make their suggestions. They can email in the suggestions. We do the Meet the CEO events where people can talk to me, directly through like events like this. And I ask people, what are you interested in? We do surveys. And so we just listen. And so where I see us 3 years from now is still just listening, and building what our student family needs.
Yeah, Rob, somehow it seems that every time you have the perfect answer for it, because I would have expected any other answer, but the listening to the customer, I think that's a very good one. Many times we see platforms around that are built for other reasons, for, making money, taking the fees, and this, or growing as much as they can. But instead, for our traders here and listeners, WealthCharts is been developing so much in the last months, and just from the beta version that I was there testing as well to where we are right now, but where we're gonna be is a great option for you as a Windows Mac users or whatever platform you're using, it being a web application that you can use almost anywhere, on as well on your phone. And you know that by using WealthChart, you know that you are as well, you're gonna get futures, indicators, stuff that you're, even if you're only using the Apex side of indicators and the futures, only $30 when it's discounted, or $16 with 90% off. That is great. And I wanted to connect this because we know that WealthChart has been created from the start as well for live people, real money things. This is as well WealthChart, but as well right now WealthChart is with Apex Trader Funding on a prop firm based. How this started, if we can ask, and how it's going on with the the difference of having simulated traders and live people that you were used to before.
Yeah, so the way it started was I've known Daryl Martin for well over a dozen years now. I actually traded against him in a trading competition. I don't talk about that too much, but Daryl knows I'm a real money trader. We both made money during the competition. I was, able to make more than he did, so I was able to win that particular competition. But what was great was that's when we first really kind of formed a friendship years ago. Is like, oh wow, there's not many real traders. You're a real money trader. Yeah, I'm a real money trader. We both made money. Great job, and so that's kind of where Daryl and I, first met, many years ago in a trading competition, set up a domestic trading competition that was held here in the States. And so then, flash forward years later, we provided support for third-party integrations that Apex was helping. So I did that out of friendship for Daryl. There, but then he kind of came back to me and said, Rob, the third-party integrations we have, it's just not working. We're having lots of problems, and I'm not going to speak too much to that, but there was a lot of problems with some of the different integrated partners with Apex for data and charting and different things like that. And so he's like, look, you've been a partner of ours for a couple of years, providing these other things. Could you just do it direct for us? And so we started that journey, well over, 19 months ago. We did it on a handshake. There was no, big contract and everything else. We did it out of relationship. We both had a mutual respect because, the real money trading aspect, and we'd helped Apex people up until that time with WealthCharts just as so anybody that had WealthCharts Ultimate, but they also had prop trading accounts with certain other integrations, we allowed them to, trade with WealthCharts. That doesn't happen anymore now. Now you have to have a WealthCharts Apex, account. But at the time, so we were helping. So Daryl already knew we could support, people, but he's like, can you take us to a whole other level? Because we need to do something different. We need to go a different direction. And so, that's where WealthCharts Apex was born. And it's been a journey, because as we talked about earlier, being fully transparent, we had a lot of different departments, as you know, Hamza, that we had to go through, and certain departments, oh, this looks great. You're ready to go. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, let's take a look. Oh, wait, okay. Actually, you need this, and this. So we weren't kind of given all the requirements up front. So it was a little bit of a journey. That's what led to the, kind of the beta being a little bit choppy, and not the way I would have liked it. But at the same time, fortunately, you were in there back, last August, September timeframe, where you guys found like roughly 100 different things that you thought would be good to be in there, and we put all those in there for you, as you know, very quickly. And so the thing is that we did all that. That's where it started. It started because of the relationship with me and Daryl. First meeting many years ago at a real money trading competition. We both made money. I just happened to make. I think he says he made about $2,000. I made about $3,000. So we'll go approximately with those numbers there. I've done like 30. I've done like 40, 41 around the world, I think it is, and I've won first place in like 35. So it's kind of hard to remember the details, with young kids at home. It's hard to remember what happened a week ago. You know what I mean? But it's great.
Yes.
And love Daryl and his mission for Apex, and so that's how it all started. And then as far as the growth as far as all the sim, I think the hardest thing for me was being a real money trader, these trading competitions, being a real money trader it's a little bit hard for me. We built WealthCharts to fill like a real market would, so to prepare you for real market, transition to real
Mhm.
market accounts. Because as you can see now, like Apex and many other accounts, because the regulatory bodies really want to see people moving to actual live real money accounts, which I think is
Mhm.
great because we built WealthCharts to emulate real money. There, so you put an order out with 10 contracts, there's got to be 10 contracts on that bid or offer to buy or sell. Otherwise, if there's only 3, it's going to fill you 3 and then it'll fill the rest. And
Mhm.
so, well, simulator people are like, oh, well, I just wanted to give me all my contracts even if there's only one contract on that bid or offer. And that's what a lot of the other firms do. So they trick people into going ahead and kind of not being prepared for the real world, the real market. And I was just talking to a huge social media influencer this morning about that. And he's like, right on. It's really great that you're doing it the real way, because now as people are going to be moving to live, they're going to be much more better prepared when they're trading with
Yeah.
charts. And so the hardest part for me, though, has been, I see a lot of people on sim and stuff like that, doing evaluations, doing PAs. I'll go long on a news release with 10 accounts. I'll go short on another news release and another accounts short. And, some of them will work, some of them won't, but the ones that work will, then I keep going with. And I think what's hard for me is to see that, because in the end, I know that they won't be able to do that in the real world with real accounts. And so I just want to see the best for people for the long term. And so, as the industry moves more to people moving to live, I think people will eventually be like, the way Rob Hoffman is trying to do this and teach us, this is more for real money traders and more sustainable for the long term for people, which is where the industry is going. And I respect it. Now I get it. Now I know why he had the fill the real way. Now I know why, he's using, these tools and these strategies, and, not being a get rich quick, throw 5 out here, throw 5 out here. Let's just see what sticks on the wall. Now I see what he's saying about patience, why I got to wait for the right trade at the right time, for the right reasons. Because that's the real world. It's not the world of, individuals that are teaching people out there, hey, you'll see they rack up thousands and thousands of accounts, and you see some of the ones that go well. And I want to be careful, I don't want it to be negative, but it's a heartfelt response from me that anybody who's known me over the years knows I'm trying to speak real terms, real truth to people. And what's sustainable is going to be that patience, waiting for the right trade, the right time, the right reasons with the highest probabilities. That's what's more sustainable. Now, in the simulated world, though, you could throw $16 or $32 or $50 or $100 at something. If it doesn't work out, no loss, no harm, no foul. Blow that account. I'll go to the next one, and some will work
Mhm.
out, and I'll get some payouts. But as the industry is moving away from that, I think people will start seeing, what, whether it's because of my real money accounts that I have over here, and I was doing some prop stuff to see if I can get access to some extra capital, or the people that are really going all in on the prop firm side, really wanting to get to that real money capital, they're going to need better strategies, higher quality strategies, more serious strategies for the future, because those real money firms can't let you blow out $20,000, $50,000 a day. They're not going to stay in business. They're going to need, solid risk management, solid order entry, and execution strategies. And I hope that people will realize over time that, WealthCharts, you saw my family's involved. They come to my trading competitions around the world. We listen to our student family. We built WealthCharts to fill the way a real fill will fill. So if there's only 3 or there's only 8 on a bid or an offer, and you got 10 contracts, you're going to get filled for the ones until the rest of the order size comes in there. But that's the real world, and that prepares you for the real world. And my hope is that people say, you know what, this guy's the real deal. He's still, after all these years, winning these real money competitions around the world. maybe wealth charts being built for serious active traders and investors and prop traders, and this guy who's still doing it after all these years, as evidenced by the gray hair. The reality is that maybe there's something there, and yeah, like you said, whether it's wealth charts apex for a very small cost, or wealth charts ultimate, which is still $80.83 a month for an annual membership. I mean, there's super small cost to be involved with something that's a real serious thing that no other platform in the world has. No other platform in the world has, a 35-time real money trading champion. There's no other 35-time real money trading champion in the world. Our lawyers looked, we looked all over the place, and the reality is, the point with all that is we have certain things and special things that are in wealth charts you can't get in any other platform. And the things that we don't have, we're trying to build in for people and, be part of our student family, help us grow, help make wealth charts. If it isn't already everything you want, like it is for several people, help us make it what it will be in 3 years. To answer the original question that kicked all this off, where do you see we're going to be in 3 years? Let's find out who the people that join you in the future here. Let's find out where they take us.
Yeah. And the fact of this industry as well, like you said, is changing to real live money. It's a big factor that many people forget, is that is getting more regulated, more every year, more every month. And then the fact that if you keep doing the bad habits of seeing simulated accounts as just a YOLO situation, only in blowing accounts over and over again, you're not going to be ready for the real life money that is going to happen soon. And this industry is moving. Rob, just to close all these, as we are here, almost 2 hours interview quite flew away, to be honest. They expected much shorter, but want to ask you a last question. What is a final point for you, that for our traders here, your last advice and the last tick from someone like you that has won different competitions?
Yeah, well, honestly, my encouragement to all of you would be to, I hope that you'll take to heart what I said here, and I hope you'll go back and watch. I know it's an investment of your time, but I hope you'll rewatch this video. And because obviously the first time we listen to something, you'll pick up little hidden gems in certain parts of this. But if you rewatch it again, like for instance, some of the key strategies, where to find like some of the education I mentioned earlier on the prop trading inside of wealth charts. What are some of the tools, whether you're a wealth charts apex member or a wealth charts ultimate member, that you could be looking at, that I feel like people should really invest more time and energy into. There's a lot of little nuggets that I tried to put into this for you. I appreciate what Hamza does. He keeps it real with his audience as far as his wins, his losses, and everything in between. And so I wanted to go ahead and be here because that's somebody I can get behind, right? Because he keeps it real. And but what you realize is, in this whole conversation we had towards the end here about simulated versus live, that whole business structure of the simulators and people living on simulators and doing wild things to qualify today, but then blowing out the counts tomorrow. It's not going to be that way when it comes to real money trading. And my goal is to try to help as many of you as possible that really are already trading real money accounts and kind of doing, prop trading on the side, or you're fully into the prop trade, hoping to get funded, with real money, then have to handle real money. Regardless of which part of the spectrum you're on, I want to see you grow, right? This wealth charts is a labor of love. And like I said, it's a family legacy play. And I know we're a big company, but I still try to treat it every day. Hamza talks to me regularly. So many people talk to me. Our student family will call in. I'm walking down the hallways and I hear somebody, and it's like, oh, is that so-and-so? When I hear a certain name, and then I'll get on the phone and I'll talk with them. So I'm still very much, despite the travel for the business and everything else, I'm still very invested every day what happens with you guys as part of our student family. That's just a fact. You've heard Hamza repeatedly talk about how many things, and you can see it for yourself. If you go into wealth charts, that little question mark box, you can see all the things we put in just in the last couple months and be like, wow, these guys are adding a lot of stuff. And we got big things that are coming out just here in about 5.5 weeks that we're really excited about, as well. I got to keep that in the wraps for today. I apologize, but I try to be as transparent on everything else as I possibly can. And we're just super excited about, the future with how we prepared and are trying to prepare people for prop trading with live, real money, and how to help people through the evaluation and simulated live process, but also just for our regular traders to have real money accounts, whether you're an options, futures, equities trader, spot forex. We said we do have a lot of Canadian family there, and of course huge European and global community, which is why we're getting all the languages in. And so we're here for you. We want to watch you grow. We've got huge support mechanisms, kind of like I identified earlier with the all-day support rooms Monday through Friday, and the other ways to communicate with us. And so our success is your success, and your success is our success. So we're intricately tied together, and we've spent the last several years putting our money where our mouth is, adding more and more and more developers, adding more and more and more features based on your needs and your requests, and we plan to continue to do that. So I appreciate you taking, this sounds like 2 hours. I haven't been clock watching, so I didn't pay attention, but I hope this 2-hour interview serves you all well, and you'll take the time to rewatch it, because there was a lot of key nuggets in there that could help you, some key things to go look at with inside the WealthCharts platform, and to just understand a little bit more about my methodologies and the whole concept that we started out the conversation today with: patience, waiting for the right trade at the right time for the right reasons, which is what you're going to need to do, and you're going to want to do when it comes to that real money trading. That's important to all of you watching this video today. So there you have it, Hamza.
Wow, that was an amazing last answer for this interview. And honestly, I'm gonna watch it even by myself, this video, because I learned many things from the patients, from as well the WealthChart platform. That stuff, even me that I tested, I didn't freaking know. And so the power of this platform, guys, has a lot behind, a lot of years of experience, especially for a platform that has been built for someone that is a good trader and has won competition, for as well traders that want to get as well to that path. So I think here answers many questions, many doubts for our traders to understand if this is their platform. Most probably yes. And if you have, guys, any questions for Rob or about WealthChart, please just drop them below, ask anything, or if you want to say anything about WealthChart or you have a comment about it, just drop it all in the comment, and I will be happy to answer. And if it's a great comment as well, I will be happy to give it back to Rob if it's a beautiful idea or anything that you think is going to be helpful for you or for WealthChart in the future. So guys, thank you so much, Rob, for this interview. It was amazing. And guys, see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.